3 weeks ago, I gave birth to my daughter. In my culture, new mothers rely on their own moms for the first 6 weeks, helping with recovery, night feedings, all of it. My mom had taken time off work, cleared her calendar, and promised to stay with me, or so I thought. Yesterday, my brother called. His wife, my SIL, is due in 2 weeks. She'd planned to have her parents fly in from overseas, but their visas got delayed. He asked if we could share mom, 4 days with me, 3 with them, just until her parents' paperwork cleared. I said yes, not because I wanted to, but because guilt gnawed at me. Postpartum isn't a competition, right? Mom hesitated when I told her. I could see her jaw tighten over FaceTime. She's always been the family peacekeeper, the one who hosted Thanksgivings even when my uncle showed up drunk. She said she'd make it work, but I knew what that meant. She'd bend until she broke. Then Sil called me directly. No hello, no how are you, just, your baby's already here. Mine needs her grandma before birth. Her voice was sharp, like she'd rehearsed it. I tried to explain this was temporary, that her parents would be here soon. She hung up mid-sentence. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped my daughter. When Mom arrived that night, she looked like she'd aged a decade. She'd spent the day hauling groceries up 3 flights of stairs for SIL, who's too pregnant to lift anything. I bit my tongue, my stitches still burned, and I hadn't slept longer than 90 minutes straight in weeks. I asked Mom if she could prioritize my recovery, just for a few days. She teared up and said, I don't want to fail either of my grandbabies. My husband doesn't get it. He works late, comes home to a dark house, and falls asleep on the couch. When I told him SIL wanted equal time, he shrugged and said, Isn't 3 days enough? I wanted to scream. Enough for what? Enough to stop the throbbing in my pelvis? Enough to magically heal the cracked nipples bleeding through my nursing bra? This morning, my brother texted, You're making Mom choose between us. Selfish much? I read it while breastfeeding at 3 a.m., my daughter's tiny fingers brushing my skin. Selfish. The word rattled in my head. Was I? I'd agreed to split Mom's time. I'd given up half of what I'd been promised. But Sil wanted more, needed more, and suddenly I was the villain. Mom left at dawn to drive Sil to a prenatal appointment. My own postpartum checkup was today, but I had to cancel. No ride. I sat on the bathroom floor staring at the unused maxi pads stacked under the sink and cried. Not just because of the appointment. The lactation consultant said my milk supply's dropping. Stress affects these things, she'd murmured, like it was a secret. Sil texted me a photo this afternoon. Mom rubbing her swollen feet on their couch. The caption read, You're hogging her. Fair is fair. I didn't respond. What could I say? That fair would have been her parents arriving on time? That fair doesn't include passive-aggressive jabs while I'm counting hours between Motrin doses? Tonight, I finally checked the visa portal. Sil's parents' interview was rescheduled to 6 months from now. 6 months. I closed my laptop and stared at Mom's half-unpacked suitcase in the corner. Her favorite sweater was draped over it, the one she'd knit for my baby during her first trimester. I wondered if Sil had a matching one. My husband found me in the nursery, rocking our daughter long after she'd fallen asleep. It'll be okay, he said, hovering in the doorway. I didn't look up. He doesn't know the pediatrician's concerned about her weight gain. He doesn't know I've been wearing the same sweatpants for 4 days. All he sees is the mess, the dishes piling up, the laundry spilling over the hamper, the way I flinch when the baby cries. I don't know what to do. Mom's trying to be 2 people at once, and I'm watching her unravel. Yesterday, she forgot where she'd parked at Target and wandered the lot for 20 minutes. Today, she spilled hot tea on the swaddle blanket she'd made, her hands trembling so badly she couldn't set the mug down. Sil's scared. I get that. Being pregnant without your mom must feel like free-falling, but I'm not the ground, I'm falling too. Every time Mom leaves, I count the minutes until she's back. Every time she walks in, exhausted, I hate myself for needing her. My brother thinks I'm cruel, Sil thinks I'm greedy, my husband thinks I'm overreacting, but no one's asked how I'm doing, how every step feels like a knife twist, how I'm rationing freezer meals because Mom's too busy to cook, how I flinch when my phone buzzes. Another demand, another guilt trip. I just need 6 weeks. 6 weeks to heal, to learn her face, to stop feeling like my body's betraying me. Is that selfish? Maybe. But if I'm drowning, am I wrong to hand someone the rope? Mom's snoring on the pull-out couch now. Her phone lights up. Sil again. I let it ring. For tonight, she's here. Tomorrow, who knows? So Reddit, am I wrong? Or is it okay to want my mom? Just mine, when I've never needed her more. Now for the first update, intro. It's been a week since I posted about my mom splitting time between me and my pregnant Sil. Things didn't get better. I wish I could say I handled it gracefully, but honestly, I'm crumbling. Mom's been splitting her days 50-50 now. Half the week here, half at SILs. At first, I thought maybe it'd balance out, like ripping off a Band-Aid. But Mom's not a Band-Aid. She's a person, a human who needs sleep, who forgets where she parked her car after driving back and forth between our places. Yesterday, she called me from a gas station, voice shaky. "Sweetie, which house has the blue hydrangeas again?" "Our house, the one she's been staying at for weeks." The pediatrician noticed my daughter's weight percentile dropped. Not a lot, but enough to ask, "Are you getting enough support at home?" I stared at the exam table's paper cover, crinkling under my hands. "How do you say? My mom's only here when she's not being guilted into rubbing my SIL's feet." I just nodded. Nodding's safe. I told Mom I needed her full time, just until I could walk without feeling like my insides might spill out. She pressed her lips into that thin line she makes when she's trying not to cry. "SIL threatened to cut me off from the baby if I don't help now," she whispered. "The baby that isn't even born yet. The baby with a due date, but no visa interview for its grandparents. Mine's here, screaming in my arms, and somehow that makes me the runner-up. My brother showed up unannounced 2 days ago. Didn't even knock. Just barged in while I was nursing. 'SIL's blood pressure's through the roof,' he said, like I'd personally handed her a salt shaker. 'You're stressing her out.' I snapped. Not my finest moment. Told him I was bleeding through pads every 2 hours, that I hadn't showered since Tuesday. His face went pale. He left without saying goodbye, but I saw him glance at the pile of dirty dishes in the sink. For a second, I thought he might apologize. He didn't. Mom started sneaking out early to beat traffic to SIL's. Found her suitcase half packed in the guest room this morning. Her toothbrush was gone. That's when it hit me. She's not just helping SIL. She's moving between us, 1 foot in each world, like we're divorced parents and she's the kid. My husband finally noticed the fridge was empty. Like empty. Condiment bottles rolling around on the shelves. He ordered takeout, some greasy Thai place, and said, "Can't your mom just stay here?" I wanted to laugh or scream. Instead, I ate cold noodles over the sink while he bounced our daughter, humming off key. He doesn't know the pediatrician's number is on speed dial. Doesn't know I've started hiding the ibuprofen so I won't take too much. SIL's husband called last night. Said if Mom doesn't help them, they'll have to hire a doula they can't afford. "We're drowning over here," he muttered. I didn't say it, but God, I wanted to. "You're drowning? I'm standing in the same ocean." Instead, I just hung up. Let him sit with the silence. Mom's hands shake now, all the time. She spilled hot tea on the blanket she knit for my daughter, the one with the little ducks. The stain's still there, brown and splotchy. She kept apologizing, wiping at it with a napkin until the yarn frayed. I told her it's okay. It's not. 3 days ago, I broke. Asked her to choose, me or SIL. She sobbed into her hands, shoulders heaving. "I can't abandon her," she kept saying. "She's all alone." I wanted to shake her. I'm alone too. But she was already reaching for her keys, already late for SIL's prenatal massage or whatever crisis came up this hour. Then the Venmo request from my brother. $200 for Mom's gas money since you're using her more. I showed my husband, thinking he'd rage with me. He just paid it. "It's not worth the fight," he said. I locked myself in the bathroom and cried until my stitches ached. Betrayal doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes it's a notification on your phone and the sound of your own breath hitching. Mom forgot the pediatrician appointment yesterday. I didn't remind her. Let her go to SIL's. Let her play the hero. Took an Uber in pajama pants, the waistbands stained with spit up. The driver kept glancing at me in the rear view. Didn't ask, just turned up the radio. The doctor asked about my mood. Any thoughts of harming yourself or the baby? I lied through my teeth. Everything's fine. The truth? I'm not fine. I'm a ghost of myself, haunting my own life. SIL went into labor last night, 2 weeks early. Mom raced out the door, her sweater inside out. She hasn't answered my calls. Not when my incision reopened. Not when the ER doctor said I need bed rest. "Who'll hand you the baby?" he asked, scribbling a note. I didn't have an answer. Conclusion. So here I am, sitting in the ER, texting the night nurse we can't afford. Mom's at the hospital with SIL, probably holding her hand. My husband's home with our daughter, Googling how to swaddle. And me, I'm learning how loud silence can be. Now for the second update. It's been 10 days since my last update. 10 days of trying to breathe through what feels like a slow-motion collapse. I keep waiting for the moment where it all snaps back into place, where I wake up and my mom's here, my body isn't failing me, and my brother doesn't treat me like a villain in a story I never agreed to star in. But life doesn't work like that, does it? Mom's been at my SIL's for 5 days straight now. 5 days. My brother says she's bonding with the newborn, like it's a vacation. Meanwhile, I'm here, staring at the empty bassinet at 3 a.m., wondering if my daughter senses the absence too. My husband finally took paternity leave. He's trying, God love him, but I caught him Googling how to sterilize bottles 3 times yesterday. He's overwhelmed, but at least now he knows, really knows, what it means when I say I need help. The other night, he looked at me while scrubbing spit up off his shirt and said, "I didn't realize she did all this." I didn't have the heart to tell him he still doesn't. Then there's the photo. SIL's husband posted it on Facebook. Mom holding their baby, grinning like she's won some kind of prize. I'm not tagged, but my brother liked it within seconds. I zoomed in. Mom's wearing the sweater I bought her for Christmas, the one she promised to save for our first family photos. It's petty, I know, but I cried over that sweater. Cried because she chose them, because she's there, and I'm here, staring at a screen. She called me 2 nights ago, her voice a whisper. She won't let me leave, Mom says the baby won't latch unless I'm here. I could hear the newborn wailing in the background. My brother picked up another line, his tone sharp. Stop guilting me, he snapped when I begged him to send her home. You're just jealous. Jealous. Of what? The sleepless nights? The way SIL's drowning her in demands while I'm rationing mine? The worst part? My milk dried up. One morning it was just gone. The lactation consultant said stress does that. I sat in the Walgreens parking lot with a can of formula in my lap, sobbing until my throat burned. It's not the formula, it's the loss. The dream of feeding her myself, that closeness, gone because my body couldn't handle the weight of everyone else's needs. We hired a night nurse with the money we'd saved for a new couch. She's kind, efficient, but when she hands me the baby at 2 a.m., her hands don't smell like Mom's lavender lotion. She doesn't hum the lullaby Mom made up when I was a kid. It's just quiet. I ran into Mom at the pharmacy yesterday. She was buying painkillers for SIL's stitches. Didn't even notice the diaper rash cream in my cart. How's the baby? She asked, like we're casual acquaintances. I wanted to scream. Your granddaughter's name is Ella. She smiles in her sleep. Instead, I said, fine. She tried to hug me, but I stepped back, the way her face crumpled. I'll see it in my nightmares. Then there's the cat, Mom's ancient tabby, Miso, who's been staying with me. He stopped eating last week. The vet said it's depression. Cats grieve too, she told me, sympathetically. I drove him to SIL's, my hands shaking the whole way. She wouldn't open the door. Pets are germs for newborns, she said through the intercom. My brother took him, texted hours later. He ran away. Mom hasn't mentioned him. I check the porch every morning, hoping he's found his way back. My husband's been quieter lately. Last night I overheard him on the phone. I can't do this. She cries all night. I don't know who he was talking to, but I stood in the hallway, frozen. When he hung up, I pretended to be asleep. What's left to say? 3 days ago, I wrote Mom a letter, not some dramatic manifesto, just 5 sentences on a sticky note. Choose me by Friday or lose me forever. Left it on her pillow, right where she used to tuck my lunch money when I was a kid. Friday came. She didn't. Now it's Saturday. The night nurse's shift ends in an hour. My husband's asleep on the couch, the baby monitor clutched in his hand, and me, I'm sitting in the nursery, watching the sunrise paint the walls pink. I don't know what happens next. I don't know how to fix this. But I'm starting to think some cracks don't get repaired. They just become part of the foundation. So here we are. Mom's playing Grandma of the Year for a family that isn't mine. My brother's probably drafting another guilt-trippy text, and I'm learning to mother in the ruins. One bottle, one breath, one heartbeat at a time. It's not the story I wanted, but it's mine. Now for the final update. It's been 3 weeks since I last posted. 3 weeks of quiet rage and slow, stubborn healing. I've learned that closure isn't a door slamming shut. It's the echo that follows, ringing in your ears when you least expect it. I changed the locks. The day after Mom didn't choose me, my husband stood beside me, drill in hand, his jaw set in a way I'd never seen before. When we piled her things on the porch, he found her favorite coffee mug, still half full, and dumped it without flinching. I thought I'd feel triumphant. Instead, I cried into my daughter's onesie, the scent of her head the only thing keeping me grounded. The postpartum doula cost us the money we'd saved for Mom's 60th birthday cruise. Her name's Marisol. She's got this calm way of moving, like the air around her slows down. When she showed me how to position Ella's head for a better latch, her hands were firm but gentle. You're doing it right, she said. Stop apologizing. I didn't realize I'd been apologizing until then. My husband took a parenting class at the community center. He came home with handouts on soothing techniques and a sheepish grin. Now he does the 2 a.m. feedings, humming off-key to Ella, while I pretend to sleep. Last week, I found him asleep in the rocker, her tiny fist gripping his thumb. He's trying. It's messy and imperfect, but he's trying. At the grocery store, I ran into SIL's neighbor, Mrs. Rivera, who used to bring us tamales at Christmas. Her cart was full of diapers. Your mom still with your brother? She asked, too casual. When I nodded, she leaned in. That husband of your SIL's? He told the mailman your mom oversteps. Says she rearranges their kitchen every night. I thanked her and left my frozen pizzas melting in the checkout line. Mom showed up last Tuesday. She looked smaller, her collarbones sharp under that faded floral blouse. Said SIL criticized her lentil soup, too much cumin, and made her sleep on the couch. The baby cries if I'm not holding her, Mom whispered, like it was a confession. I stood behind the screen door, Ella heavy in my arms. You picked that couch, I said. Now you get to lie in it. My brother called 2 days later, furious. SIL's parents got emergency visas after a miracle appointment opened up. They're flying in tomorrow, he said. Mom's got nowhere to go. I pictured her in that motel off the highway, the one with the flickering neon sign, the one where Dad stayed during their separation. She leaves voicemails now. I missed her first smile, didn't I? She asked the silence after the beep. Marisol says my stitches have healed better than most. Your body's resilient, she told me, pressing a warm compress to my lower back. I didn't tell her resilience feels like another word for surviving what should have broken you. SIL's mom posted a photo of their family reunion last week. 8 people crowded around a hospital bassinet, all smiles. Mom isn't in it. I zoomed in, searching for her in the blurred background. Nothing. Yesterday, my husband found Mom sitting in our driveway at dawn. He brought her a blanket and a photo of Ella, the one where she's wearing the strawberry hat Mom knit during my pregnancy. Take it, he said, but you can't come in. When he told me, I pressed my face into his shoulder and screamed until my lungs ached. I unblocked her number this morning. Her text came through instantly. I thought I could be everything to everyone. I was wrong. 3 dots appeared, disappeared. Nothing else. My brother called late last night, his voice slurry. SIL took the kids to a hotel after he apologized to me. She called me spineless, he muttered, said I've always put Mom first. The irony hung between us, sour and sharp. Mom wants to visit today. 10 minutes, she promised, just 10. Marisol's folding laundry in the nursery, pretending not to listen. You don't owe her, she said softly. I know, but I owe myself the chance to decide. Not as a daughter, but as a mother. Marisol leaves Friday. She taught me how to wrap Ella to my chest, how to steam lentils one-handed, how to breathe through the panic when the crying won't stop. You'll call if you need me? She asked. I nodded, even though we both know I won't. The bottles are sterilized. The diapers are stacked. Somewhere down the street, Mom's probably rehearsing what to say. And me? I'm sitting here, tracing the scar where my skin split open to make room for life. It's raised and tender, but closed. I don't know what happens after 10 minutes. I don't know if forgiveness is a place you reach or just a weight you learn to carry. But when the doorbell rings, I'll open it. Not for her, for the version of me that still believes in second chances, and the version that knows when to walk away.